Hello, Trixies. Hello, Philippines. And hello, world. Welcome to our podcast. And we can't believe we're finally doing this. And we're so happy you're here to join us.
Yes, thanks for tuning in again. And if you're new here, welcome to our chaos.
Yep, chaos indeed. But actually, your topic today is very interesting because here is our Trixies. We are going to talk about the paradox of freedom in the digital space.
But before we jump in, let's introduce ourselves so you know who you're listening to.
Hello, Trixies. It's Jopa, your resident sweetheart, ready to talk about what freedoms feels like online.
Hi Trixie, it's Riri, your resident stylish one.
Hi everyone, it's Inshira, your resident artistic soul.
Hi everyone, this is Azzy, your resident hustler.
Hi everyone, I'm Hafsa, your resident chill vibe. And we are CHATRIX!
All right, let's dive right in. So, to begin, what does freedom personally mean to you and how do you define it in your everyday life?
Oh, let me put a good go to that. Freedom for me is being able to express myself without unnecessary restrictions, like in my finances, my day-to-day rest, and such. But for the digital space, I'd say that is having control over what I consume and share online. Therefore, I want to remind our Trixies that we put the base on our social media. Therefore, make sure to be the controller and not the one being controlled.
And yeah, that's a really good answer to the question. And I also agree with what you have just said, like you need to be in control. And I think that's also a part of like what freedom is, like you having the control over anything that you do. But for me personally, I think what also applies in freedom is having financial freedom, and not just like financial freedom in the real life, but I also think it applies in the digital space. Like I feel like if you have financial access to anything, you can access apps, or you have advantages in using the apps.
So, when it comes to your digital space, do you have full freedom or just a partial control? What do you guys think?
For me, yes. Because I can just follow wherever I want, search anything I like, or even post whatever I like. But all of this algorithm is actually perfectly created for me. It is invisibly arranged by a system every time I interact with something in my social media. So I guess it is chosen by me, but at the same time, I am being limited by those platforms.
Yeah, and I think that's also an interesting take. I also have the same sentiments with Riri that we really do have freedom in the digital platforms that we use. Of course, a lot of the platforms we use are free, but at the same time, I don't believe that we have full control over it, because at the same time, they ask us for like a lot of our data, and I don't think we can stop that from like happening, or we can't even like log in fully or be verified fully if we don't give an exchange to our information. So I feel like it's more of a 50-50 for me.
Yeah, I agree with the both of them. Because while I can decide on what apps to use and who to follow, the system is subtle, so it influences me through recommendations and trends. That's actually what we call pre-filtered algorithm within the space. A pre-filtered algorithm is actually reduced data to form a main algorithm. That's why your FYPs are curated exactly through the interactions you did on your previous posts, likes, shares, and comments.
Digital freedom? Honestly, not completely. Because the digital world gives us an illusion of freedom. Most of what we see is already filtered by algorithms. For example, on TikTok, the content we see depends on what we liked or what we watched before. It feels like we're choosing, but in reality, the platforms are deciding for us, right?
So it actually depends on our access. And if you would think about it, our access when we were younger were actually also limited. Like, we don't have Facebook, or our parents don't want us to touch the social media apps because they know we might just do something crazy over those platforms. But now that we've grown, our freedom in our digital space has also grown. So, yeah, our freedom is actually somehow offered in partial because we can't access it all. It depends if we have money, if we have e-cards, and that's when you can actually completely access some apps which offers premium content. And it's kind of sad because when it comes to academics, not all people can fully learn, for instance, the course or the offered courses, but actually it's still paid. So yeah, not all content is offered in free. So yeah, it's somehow debatable if we actually have full control in our digital spaces.
Yeah, and I also wanted to add, like, for me, that's what like freedom really is. Like, even having financial freedom, it applies to what you just have said, like having exclusive content or having exclusive access to a lot of the content online, especially for learners or researchers like us.
Yeah.
Like, having access to a lot of the research articles is really important to us, and the fact that we have to have like we have to pay for it, it's kind of like a sad thing. So that's why it's kind of like a 50-50. A lot of the articles that we see online are free, but like you get to see half of it, not full of it.
Yes. I would say even the editing apps, like the Canva, the CapCut, we have to have a premium account to have access to it, which is sad because it used to be free, but now that the users are so many, they make us pay.
So yeah, that's all of our insights are actually an example of how freedom can be limitless if only you can afford it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Freedom is expensive.
Alright, so like what we've discussed earlier, a lot of the digital platforms are indeed free, but it also comes with the having free speech. So I wanted to ask you guys, how do we balance the responsibility of having free speech in these platforms with real world harms like misinformation and such?
When it comes to balancing, the platforms itself are controlling the users in terms of policies that are made. So harmful contents are actually being removed, and also the users are being deleted if they are misusing the platforms themselves. But it's also important to consider that sometimes the content that they remove are actually factual information, and that the users that they silence are actually advocating for the right causes. So it's quite ironic because for a platform to have its own political views isn't ideal, because it should be neutral in order for everyone to freely express themselves and also their experiences without fearing that their content might be removed.
Yes, exactly. I would agree on the statement of Inshi because sometimes we get red tagged and shadow banned for the information we share, especially if that's so relevant with what is happening right now. And also, we get surveilled from these apps, which hides the transparency because our statements are being reduced and the videos are being cut, which is very sad. And that boils to my answer that balance comes from accountability and not censorship from these apps, because we shouldn't be silenced, rather we should speak up and we should be heard by these apps also, and they should not be biased about their thoughts.
All right, so it's very tricky because especially here in the Philippines is where information spreads fast online. So I think digital freedom comes with media literacy. We
Yes,
should be
exactly.
free to express our opinions, but we also need to verify facts and be accountable to the information we share.
For me, it's simple. People should be aware and have empathy to what they share online. And I think people should have, you know, should have the freedom to express their thought, like what the Ate Azzy said, that those censorship, you know,
Are now being prevalent
yeah.
in social media.
So I think people should have the freedom to express their thoughts, and also not become the weapon to express false rumors.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think you guys had really interesting takes about it, and I fully agree with what you guys have said. And I think it really boils down to having accountability and responsibility in sharing your words in social media or in any digital platform. And I think this is what's important, and I think this is also what needs to be said. It's that language really plays a important factor in almost every single aspect of our life, even in digital platforms. It can influence, it can shape perceptions, and it's really a powerful way of like telling people what you have said, like misinformation and stuff like that. So I think having free speech really comes with having accountability and responsibility in sharing your information.
Alright, let's move on to the last question, and that is, what is one major change or what is that realization you have come up with this conversation for your digital life?
Well, I'd like to go first. So, I really feel like our conversation today has been very fruitful, and it made me realize a lot of things. Of course, with my presence in the social media, I'm very public, so I feel like I'll go private from now on. And really, it makes me aware of like a lot of the information that I put out there online and a lot of my data out there online. So, I feel like I'll be wary about that from now on, and at the same time with what we've discussed earlier, the previous question, like language does a lot of things. So consuming a lot of content online, I feel like right now we'd have to be more critical about it. So I feel like that's a good thing that I've realized right now.
Okay, good luck with that, Hafsa. So for me, personally, I've realized that I need to be more intentional. I want to use social media less for mindless scrolling and more for learning or connecting with people meaningfully. I've started unfollowing pages that made me conscious. Yeah, so that's all.
So for me, one thing that I realized is your thoughts actually affirmed my thoughts as well. When it comes to communicating in our digital spaces, our experiences are not that different. It's actually similar. And yeah, when it comes to my realization, I realized that using the digital space comes with responsibility and also awareness. And you also have to use it with good intentions, like what Josh said. Spending your time there should be fruitful, and it should not waste your time that much.
Yeah, so for me, my realization is that I need to take back control on my attention. Because ever since I got addicted to like social media, I've noticed that I'm always lost in a thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I need to use my, digital properly.
Yes, I do agree with everyone. First off, be wary. Second, be intentional. 3, we're relatable. And fourth, of course, we have to set boundaries, and we have to learn when and when not to use the social media or the apps, because at the end of the day, we must always think before we click.
Definitely.
Alright, as we wrap up today's discussion, I hope something within this discussion have stayed with our Trixies, no? It could be a feeling or a change of thoughts on how they view freedom.
Yes.
Thank you so much for spending your time with us today. Your presence, your attention truly mean a lot. We appreciate you genuinely.
This has been
CHATRIX!
And until next time, take care.